I don't even really know where to start on answering this question. Of course the elections will not be rigged. What does that mean? The federal government doesn't run the election process. States and cities and communities all across the country, they're the ones who set up the voting systems and the voting booths. And
okay.
No, that is not the way our democracy works. We've been around for 240 years. We've had free and fair elections. We've accepted the outcomes when we may not have liked them. And that is what must be expected of anyone standing on a debate stage during a general election. You know, President Obama said the other day, when you're whining before the game is even finished,
I'm now back to being an activist citizen and part of the resistance.
At this rate, you realize Hillary doesn't have to do anything to beat Donald Trump. She just has to run out the clock. She should just sit in a tree like Rue in the Hunger Games, just waiting for everything to finish. Just like Rue looking at Hillary going... And Rue's like, stop pandering, Hillary, stop.
I hope you don't mind the little compilation I put there in the beginning to help demonstrate the assurance that we were given last year that the election could not be tampered with, could not be rigged, could not be hacked.
We're learning today that a new book that is coming out by Donna Brazile, the former acting chair of the Democratic National Committee, that the campaign of Secretary Hillary Clinton was far more influential at the Democratic Party, the Democratic National Committee, than we previously knew. Do you think, though, that what we're learning from Donna Brazile's book suggests that the campaign, that what the Democratic National Committee did, meant this election was rigged?
Yeah, I think it was.
Alongside Senator Warren saying that the election was rigged in favor of Hillary Clinton, we also had an article on Politico go up written by Donna Brazile, who was the interim chairperson of the DNC. And in her article, she goes into detail about how the election was rigged in favor of Hillary Clinton. The first part of the article talks about how President Obama left the party $24 million in debt, and this gave Hillary Clinton an ample opportunity to swoop in, take complete control over all financial decisions of the DNC, and therefore ensure her candidacy in the 2016 election. Later in the article, she recalls talking to Gary Gensler, the chief financial officer of Hillary's campaign, and she claims that he described the party as fully under the control of Hillary's campaign, which seemed to confirm the suspicions of the Bernie camp. The campaign had the DNC on life support, giving it money every month to meet its basic expenses while the campaign was using the party as a fundraising clearinghouse. I at last found the document that described it all. The joint fundraising agreement between the DNC, the Hillary Victory Fund, and Hillary for America. The agreement, signed by Amy Dacey, the former CEO of the DNC, and Robbie Mook, with a copy to Mark Elias, specified that in exchange for raising money and investing in the DNC, Hillary would control the party's finances, strategy, and all of the money raised. Her campaign had the right of refusal of who would be the party communications director, and it would make final decisions on all of the other staff. The DNC also was required to consult with the campaign about all other staffing, budgeting, data, analytics, and mailings. Later in the article, she mentions notifying Bernie of the information that she found that seems to imply that he was completely cheated out of his nomination. She had this to say: I told him I had visited states around the country and I found a lack of enthusiasm for her everywhere. I was concerned about the Obama coalition and about millennials. I urged Bernie to work as hard as he could to bring his supporters into the fold with Hillary and to campaign with all the heart and hope he could muster. He might find some of her positions too centrist and her coziness with the financial elites distasteful, but he knew and I knew that the alternative was a person who would put the very future of the country in peril. I knew he heard me. I knew he agreed with me, but I never in my life had felt so tiny and powerless as I did when making that call. When I hung up the call to Bernie, I started to cry, and not out of guilt, but out of anger. We would go forward. We had to. Well, count me not surprised. I've been saying this for the last year, and earlier this year, the DNC was involved in a lawsuit that alleged that they rigged their primaries, and their argument was that they're a private company and therefore they're allowed to rig their primaries. Good stuff, right? So, full disclosure, I don't care for Bernie Sanders all that much. He seems like a decent guy, but he does not seem like a good leader, nor does he seem authoritative enough to put his foot down and be a president. That having been said, that nomination was stolen from him. I know a lot of people who were pro-Bernie, and as soon as he got screwed over, their interest in the election was gone. A lot of those, hell, like half of them or more, became enthusiastically pro-Trump. If you can rig one political party when there's only two possible contending political parties, doesn't it stand to reason that it would be possible to rig both parties, therefore rigging the entire election, making it completely pointless? For a long time, people have felt like their votes didn't matter. And it's not because of the Electoral College, but it's because of voter manipulation, busing people to different counties to make them vote multiple times, taking advantage of the lack of ID voting laws, all of that stuff. It has ruined the trust between the public and the people who are supposed to represent them. I have a strong feeling that the voting turnout rate will be much lower next time around.